Hi, and in today's Microsoft Word tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to create this portrait ID card in Word. I've already showed you how to create a landscape ID card and I'll link that video in the description below. But today this is what we will be creating. So as you can see, I've just opened a default document. So the first thing we need to do is to decide on the dimensions of our ID card. So we go up to the Insert tab and you can either use a rectangular shape or you can go along and use a text box. Today I'm going to use a text box, so I'm going to click on the drop down and select Draw Text Box. Then all I'm going to do is click and drag. Once I've done that and my text box is selected, then this tab will appear at the top. Now this ribbon will show you all the tools that you'll need for your text box. If you go along to this section here, this will tell you your width and height of your text box, and you can adjust these. Sometimes by default this box is checked, which means that this aspect ratio is linked. So if you change this figure here, this one will automatically change to the aspect ratio that you've selected. So if you uncheck it, you can then put in the dimensions that you want. So for this tutorial I'm going to put in 9.9 centimeters by 6.7. Now those dimensions were given to me by Google. If you want to increase or decrease those dimensions, then of course you can go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to zoom in. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get up my customization panel. So make sure you've selected shape format, so you can either double click and this format pane shall appear on the right hand side, or in shape format you can go along to this icon here and this menu will appear on the right hand side. Now you have a number of different options in here. Shape options will relate to the actual shape itself, and because this is a text box, the text options will relate to everything to do with your text. Furthermore, you've got these three tabs at the top. This section relates to the colour and the fill, so the outline and the centre of your shape or your text box. This one here will be the effects of shadows, reflections, glows, soft edges, that sort of thing. And this one finally will be the alignment of your text within the box. And again, the same sort of thing with your text options. So at the moment my text box has a white background and a black border. Now you can choose to keep this border when you cut this ID card out, or you can get rid of it. I find that if you keep it, then you know exactly where to cut the outline, and also it's a really good guide. So I'm going to keep the outline for that. The next thing I'm going to do is insert my image. So I'm going to go up to Insert, Picture, click on the drop down, Picture from File, select a picture, click Insert. Now when your picture appears in Word, it could do a number of different things. Mine has appeared behind my text box, which now demonstrates that my text box has that white background I talked about, which you can't see when it's on a white piece of paper. So now what we need to do is to bring this picture forward and be able to move it around. And the quickest and easiest way to do that is to right click, make sure you've highlighted your image, is to right click, go down to Wrap Text and go down to In Front of Text. That will do two things. That will bring it forward and it will mean that you can then go ahead and move it around your document. So I'm just going to reduce the size of it and just move it up. Now, depending on what ratio your picture is, you may need to crop it to a nice square. So the way in which to do that, make sure it's highlighted, make sure you're on this Picture Format tab, then go along to Crop. Click on the drop down, go down to Aspect Ratio and click 1:1. When these black markers appear here, you can increase and decrease the size of that crop, or you can just move the crop up or down to where you want it. Once you're happy, just press enter. Now if I click off this picture, you'll see currently there isn't an outline, but we want an outline for our particular picture. So again, select the picture, go over to our menu here, and then go to the bucket icon up here, this tab. And you've got two entries here, fill and line. You go down to line and click solid line. This gives you another bunch of options which you can choose from. There's so many options. So you can change the colour if you want to. I'm just going to choose black. You can choose the transparency of the line if you want to, and also the width. I'm going to choose 3 points for my width, so I'm just going to enter 3 in and press enter. Now as you come over here, you can see that we have a nice thick border for our design. What I'm going to do is just reduce the size of that for the centre of our ID card. That's about right. Just a tad more. That's it. Now, the way in which to align the picture with the outline of your ID card is very simple, and we'll be using this technique throughout this tutorial. Highlight your photograph, then press the Command or Control key on your keyboard, then click the outline of your ID card, and you can see now they're both highlighted. Once they're highlighted, make sure you're on picture format, then go along to the Align tool here, click on the drop down and select Align to Center. Once you've clicked that, you'll see that this now is perfectly lined up. These central squares here are perfectly lined up. Now you will need to go back and check those throughout. Sometimes they get nudged and moved, so you just need to check that they're all in alignment throughout the tutorial. The next thing I'm going to do is just put in some graphics. So I'm going to go up to Insert, Shapes, click on the drop down, and I'm going to select this shape here, which is in my recents, but it's down here in Basic Shapes. So all I'm going to do is click and hold the Shift key down so I get a perfect shape, a perfect ratio. If I don't hold the Shift key down, let me show you. If I don't hold the Shift key down, then I can create all kinds of shapes. If I hit the Shift key, then it makes sure that that ratio stays perfect. Now we'll be changing it because I do need to nudge it. So I'm just going to try to make that the width of my ID card. In fact, it just needs to be a little more narrow. And then all I'm going to do is grab the top bit, drag it down so it's not so high. Then I'm going to use this rotation tool and just turn that around. Then I'm going to pop it at the top here and line it up at the top. Then what I need to do is try to line up these two edges with the central part of this image so that they just tuck nicely in behind the image. I just click off there. Now you can see the lines aren't quite right. Now before I go ahead and make the final adjustments, there is actually an outline to this shape. So click on the shape, make sure you're on shape format, go along to this icon here and click no outline. Then I'm just going to quickly go to shape fill and turn it black. Now I can see here that it slightly overlaps here and I can nudge it slightly to the left, but before I do that I need to ensure this is actually in the center of my ID card. So click on the shape, hold the Command or Control key down, click on the outline, up to the Align tool and align to center. Again, let's just check that. That looks about right. Now what we need to do is send it behind this photograph. So click on the shape again, make sure you're on shape format and go along to send backwards. And that will send that shape behind the image. Now to create the other outline that you see here, we're just simply going to copy and paste this shape. So Command or Control C, Command or Control V, and then we're just going to click on the corner, hold the Shift key down, and we're just going to pull just slightly until it makes that width. Now we know the width of our text box, so all we need to do once we've highlighted this shape is, again, make sure on shape format, is to go along to these aspects here, and we need to ensure the width is the same as our text box. So it was 6.7, so let's enter 6.7 and press enter. And now we know that that is exactly the width of our text box. And again, what we need to do now is align them. So keep this selected, hit the Command or Control key, and then click on the outline. Go back up to align, and we're going to do two things here. First of all, we're going to align to the center, but we're also going to align to the top, which should align everything, both the shape and the outline, perfectly along the top. The next thing we need to do is to take out this central colour and then put in a thick outline. So what we need to do is go over to the panel. So we're going to go over to the bucket icon that deals with the outline and the central fill. We're going to go to no fill, and in the line we're going to say solid line, change the colour to black, and then enter a width of 3 points and press enter. Now, because we've just aligned everything, it's done it to both the outline and this shape. So let's just go back, click off our shapes, click back on just this shape, go back up to shape format, go back up to the menu, click on the bucket, and then select 3 and press enter. Now you can see that there's a little bit more of that shape to the left here than there is here. So let's just go ahead and just align these again. So let's select this shape and let's select this one. I think they're aligned, but something isn't. So let's just check. Go to shape format, go to the alignment tool and click align to center. So they're aligned. So let's now align the picture as well. Hold the Command or Control key down and select the picture as well as everything else. Back up to the align tool and click align to center. And that's where the picture has become misaligned. You can see it's been nudged. So now you can see that this shape here is not aligned either. So I've just realized that what we've actually done is we've highlighted the outline shape and not the black shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this shape here backwards. So highlight it, go to send backwards. Then I'm going to click on it again, and although you can't see anything actually happening, it's sending it behind this shape here. So if I click off that and then I click back on, you can see now we've highlighted this shape here because it's sent this shape behind it. So if I want to highlight this shape, I will have to click down here, and then if I want to highlight the other shape, I have to click up here. Once I've highlighted that one, go back to the text box outline with your Command or Control key, highlight that, go back up to align, and then select align to center. And there you see it's nudged it over to the left. Now I can see there's something not quite right. This gap here is smaller than this gap here. So all I'm going to do is hit my Command or Control key and my left or right arrow, and then I can make the minor adjustments that I need to, just to shift that a little bit rather than the larger adjustments that's made if you just hit the arrow keys. If you want to go up or down and make the smaller adjustments, just hit the Alt key and it will just make slight movements up or down. So if you want to make this shape slightly more narrow, instead of using these arrows here that can be a little bit clunky, hit the Control key and the Shift key and press the left or right arrow. Left arrow makes it smaller, right arrow makes it bigger. So I'm going to make mine a little bit smaller and just make those fine adjustments. So as you can see, because this border is 3 points, it's actually poking out to the edges of the top here. Now you can just cut that off when you cut it out, or if you want to be a little bit more precise, just highlight it, go to shape format and just make an adjustment. So if we reduce that down to maybe 6.5, press enter, and that's still a tiny bit too big on this corner here. So again, highlight it, I'm going to go to 6.55 and press enter. Then again, highlight the outline of the text box and to center it. Now we're just going to use my arrow key and Alt key just to nudge that down slightly, and just nudge that slightly over to the left. Oh, wrong keys. Okay, once you've got everything aligned, we now need to go to the text. So again, I'm going to go up to Insert, Text Box, draw text box. So click and drag. Again, the first thing to do is align it to the center. So once it's highlighted, press the Command or Control key down, hit the outline, align, align to center. Double click inside, write your text, then double click, Command or Control A will highlight all of the text within your text box. Go to the Home tab. I'm going to center this text, and then I'm going to make some adjustments to the text. So I'm going to change the font. I'm going to choose a very narrow font. And then I'm going to change the name to bold. So again on the Home tab, I'm going to increase the size of it. And then I'm going to adjust the position of the characters by increasing the gaps between the characters of my font. So I'm going to right click, go down to Font. Then this dialog box will appear. You need to go to Advanced, down to Spacing, click on the drop down and click Expand. I'm going to expand mine by 2 points and press Enter. And as you can see now, I've got much larger spacing between each character. Okay, so the next thing to do is just adjust that text box. Now if I click off, you can see once again I've got this border which I don't want, and I've also got that white background. So I'm just going to click on that text box, go to Shape Format, click on No Outline, and click on No Fill. Perfect. The great thing about text boxes is you can fully adjust them, move them around, and you can put this over the top, you can adjust the text, it really can go anywhere. Okay, so the next thing to do is just add the rectangle at the bottom. So go up to Insert, Shape, Rectangles, then again click and drag. Now we know once again the width of our ID card, so I'm going to whip up to the width here and just put in 6.67, press Enter. Then I'm going to hit the Command key and select the outline, align it to the center. Then I'm going to go up here, I'm going to get rid of the outline and the shape fill turn to black. That's because we've highlighted them both again. So let's just click on that shape. So you can see what happens is when sometimes you make these adjustments, everything slightly goes out of sync at the top here. So you might have to come back and just make these fine adjustments right at the end. And that's because I tried to align everything to center. So if you want to, you can just go back by using the Command or Control key plus Z, and it will take you back a few steps. So as I made that alignment adjustment here, it also misaligned everything up here. So just go back to where you were. I'll click on this shape here. Let's just make these adjustments. So let's go to No Outline, Shape Fill to Black. Make sure you're on 6.67, which is what we chose. And then we can center that ourselves. And as you can see, it doesn't quite fit there. And that might be because we haven't got the outline. So you can either make the adjustment yourself, or you can go up to the outline and just put a black outline. And now you can see it touches both sides. So now we need some more text. So Insert, Text Box, Draw Text Box. I'm going to click and drag up here. You can't see the black outline, but it is there. There's your text box, and this confirms again that my text box has a white background. So I'm just going to enter. This is where your brand name or your logo or company will be entered. Once again, I'll highlight the lot, go to the Home tab, center it, change the font, and then I have to change this font to white so that it will show up on the black background. So I'm going to go along to font color here and click white. Of course, there are lots of other colors as well to choose from. Then I'm going to go up to Shape Format. I'm going to get rid of the outline and get rid of the fill. And again, I need to center this. Now you can center this to this shape here, you can center it to your ID card, or you can even center it to this picture. But just remember, when you go to center it, Word doesn't always pick the right one to center it to. So whether it's aligned the outline to this text box or the text box to the outline, it does make a difference. So let's just see. I've just clicked my Command or Control key to highlight both of those, go up to line and click center. Fortunately, it has aligned this text box to the outline. If not, it will have adjusted this area up here and you'd be able to tell. So now that's centered, I just need to go up and change the size of font of just this top bit here. So go up to the Home tab and I'm going to choose this increase font size. Right, so that just got, I just saw that that was just adjusted there. So just reduce that down. And once again, make sure it's all centered. And then center, just going to center align that again. Perfect. Okay, let's put some text in down here. Insert text box, draw text box, click and drag. Let's enter in some details. Employee ID. And then obviously I'm just putting in some random numbers. Then again, I'm going to highlight it all, Command or Control A. I'm going to go up to the Home tab and change the text to white. Go up to Shape Format, get rid of the outline and get rid of the shape fill. And again, I'm going to center it, Command or Control, select the outline, align, align to center. Now again, I want to shift this up. I can align it to this shape here in the center as well. So again, Command or Control key and highlight both this black box and the text box. Go up to align, and this time we're going to go down to align to middle. And that will align it horizontally. Now I just need to pull this down. I should have done this first. I just need to pull that down. And that has adjusted it slightly, so just go back, align to center again. But you need to align to center and align to the middle. There we go. Now that is now perfectly aligned within that box. So now we need to put the barcode at the bottom. And you don't have to do this, and if your particular company has one, that's great, but you don't have to. You can put other information there if you want to. So all I'm going to do, because her name is already written here and I have a text converted to barcode, just highlight this text box here, Command or Control C to copy, Command or Control V to paste, pull it down. I'm going to double click inside and then just highlight this bottom text because I don't want that. And then just get rid of that. Then I'm going to highlight everything inside, Command or Control A. And now on the Home tab and in the fonts, I have this particular font here, which you can download. I have got a video on barcodes and how to download this particular font, and again I will link that in the description below. So I'm just going to click on that font, and all that's done is created a barcode here with her name. Now whether this works or not, or with a scanner, I'm not entirely sure. I've never tried it. But you can pop that barcode in the bottom there, and then again hit the Command or Control key and the outline and align it again to the center. Perfect. Now if that's a little bit too big, which I think it is, I'm going to nudge that up. Now I've aligned these perfectly and I don't want them to shift, but I want to move them up. So the best thing to do is to group them. So click on the text box, Command or Control key, click on the black box, go up to Group, click on the drop down and select Group. Now this is a group together, and when you move it, it'll move as one. All I'm going to do is hit my up arrow. Now you can see that massive jump that it makes, and I don't want that much of a jump. So all I'm going to do is to hit the Alt key and then use my arrows to go up, and that will make smaller adjustments. And again, I'll do the same with this one here. Just hit the Alt key and just move that one up. So before you go ahead and print this out, just make sure everything is aligned perfectly. You can go through and align everything as we did before. So before you go ahead and print this out, you can save it as a template. Now I have another video on that in the link below, and in addition, if you want to save this as an image, then again I have another video on how to save this as an image. So I hope that's helped you today. If it has, please subscribe and have a great day.